Last week, I started a pros and cons series about purchasing intentionally outside of the city limits and the reasonings for that. And so the first video last week was all about the cons, and then this week I'm doing the pros. So here's my list. Number one, lower taxes. Yes, if you buy outside of city limits, you don't have city taxes. So the taxes essentially on your property are lower. What I shared last week is I'm estimating that to be about $200 a month if the house price is $350,000. If the house value rather is $350,000. Next is less regulations. You do have less regulations when you're outside the city limits because you're not governed by a municipal. You're still governed by the county, by the state, but restrictions such as fireworks. Fireworks can be not within the restrictions of a city and and a lot of times outside of city limits, it's allowable, right? So different restrictions like that. You do have the potential of different land options that you may not have in the city. Sometimes cities have options of a lot of land, but it's harder now with things growing and growing, but it is more of a potential when you're outside of the city limits. The next is more privacy. A lot of people really value their privacy and value not being in the city. And so that's a big one that people really enjoy being outside of the city limits for, is privacy. Last thing that I have is that you pay for things as you use them. Now this one's cool, and I actually used an example on the last video about what I mean by that. But if your ambulance costs in the city is subsidized with your city taxes, then you don't have that because you're not paying city taxes when you live outside of city limits, but you pay for it as you use it. So if you have an ambulance come get you, you may pay for that at a la carte, I guess is what we would refer to that as, versus paying for it whether you use it or not use it. And so that's just something else to note, is that you pay for things as you use them. And if you don't have an ambulance ride for 20 years of living there, then you never have to pay towards it, right? So that is cool as well. So if you didn't get a chance to take a look at my pros that I listed out, make sure and check that out. But I always hear of people wanting to buy outside the city limits or an unincorporated land. And so it's just important to know what the pros and cons are. And so if you didn't listen, make sure and check out the cons video that I made. All right, that's all I got. Talk to you later.